pa ng NBI, hindi ba ito makakaapekto sa kanilang imahe at kredibilidad, attorney?
Well, I have to be bluntly honest now of my observation on the matter. In the first place, he should have been disqualified. Disqualified for delicadeza, disqualified likewise under the rules of court simply because of the fact na ano yun yung wife niya was one of the signatories pala doon sa impeachment complaint against VP Sara Duterte. Isa siya sa pumirma doon sa articles of impeachment. Then, by parity of reasoning, pwede natin i-apply by analogy, delikadesa na lang sana na hindi na siya nakikialam doon sa pag-investigate against kay VP Sara. Why? Because there is a clear conflict of interest. He cannot say that he can separate himself from the affairs of his wife. Kasama niya yun sa tulog, kasama niya sa kain, kasama niya sa kanyang buhay. So dapat sana hindi na lang siya nakikialam, especially doon sa pag-appear sa Senado. Hindi pa siya hindi pa siya sabinad, but he voluntarily went to the Senate, and that speaks well of his character perhaps as a public officer. Wala pong personalan ito, pero dapat sana din na lang siya nakialam. But granting for the sake of argument na hindi niya nakita yon, no? Hindi niya nakita yon. Yung quality ng kanyang testimony sa aking palagay lang ay medyo depektibo. Bakit? He was not personally involved in the original investigation. He was not present during the time when it was investigated. And as a matter of fact, no, hindi rin siya mismo ang nag-imbestiga. Hindi rin sa panahon niya nangyari yung investigation. So wala talaga siyang personal knowledge. Yung alibay o rason na ginamit ng prosecution na entries, official entries daw iyon, sa akin pong palagay, with utmost due respect, under the rule on evidence, when you invoke that as an exception to the hearsay rule, you only prove the existence of that entry. You do not prove the truthfulness of the entry. And the truthfulness of the entry in the records of a particular office can only be testified to by the persons involved in the investigation. Hindi siya involved sa investigation eh. So kung baga, he was just but a transmitter of information. So akin to hearsay pa rin. Kaya nga, tama si Attorney Binluan doon, parang chismis lang yung testimonya niya. Maski saan kang, what you call this, side sa politika, kung korte po ito, dapat excluded na yung testimony niya kasi wala yung probative value. Yun po
Opo.
ang nasa tingin ko.
Attorney, normal po ba yung parang may disclaimer ang korte? Kasi parang, sa tingin ko parang disclaimer kasi sinasabi kasi na hindi ibig sabihin nyo, kayang sinasabi ay pwede nang gamitin. Ito yung yung sa affidavit na ito ay i-take na katotohanan. Kasi yung tanong is yung may personal knowledge ba siya? Pwede ba to or sa regular court as in automatic pag hindi pasok sa kanya yung qualification bilang witness, automatic kung nakaharap man siya pero hindi niya matatapos kumbaga, attorney?
Kung hindi niya it is not within his personal knowledge. Well, ordinarily, kung sa korte yan, hindi yan i-allow sa korte. Wala ka pala dun eh. So, go on other matters. Ganon sana yun. Go on other matters where you have a personal knowledge. Yun ang ordinary na ginagawa sa korte. Or, it may be allowed by the court as an independent relevant statement. Siguro, parang to prove lang na the fact is existing but not necessarily the truth of the matter. It may be allowed under certain conditions. Pero doon kasi sa kanya, parang klarong-klaro na wala talaga siyang personality. He came He came after the fact of investigation. All of his, what you call these testimonies, came after the fact. So, kumbaga, kung sa korte sana yun, baka i-disallow siya kaagad.
Opo, hindi naman sa pangmamaliit sa ilan nating mga senator judge kasi baka yung pag-appreciate nila dito yung parang lahat ng mga naririnig nila ay pwede na. Yun yung ano natin eh. Kasi sa tingin ko kasi meron kasi ako narinig attorney na wala daw sila doon para impluwensyahan yung korte. Eh di po ba yan po yung pangunahing rason kung bakit andun sila para impluwensyahan, para ano mo, mahimok mo ang korte na pumanig sa iyo sa pamamagitan ng paglalatag ng mga ebidensya. Pero paano na lang kung wala kang kasanayan sa mga dapat lamang na yung naayon sa batas, eh maapektuhan talaga yung desisyon.
Yes, yes. I think it is incumbent upon the senators, no, to also brush up on the law, on the matter. Kasi sila yung magdi-decide eh. Hindi naman po pwede na kasi hindi sila abogado, hindi din sila mag-brush up on the rules. Like for example, very basic rule that a witness can only testify to facts they know of their personal knowledge, no? Meaning facts derived from their own perception. Dapat alam ng mga senador yun. And it is also their responsibility to know such fact under the rules on evidence. Kasi tatayo sila as senator judges there. So, dapat alam nila na pag ang testimonya ay not based on a witness own perception, then dapat excluded yan, hindi sana yan i-allow. And kasi inadmissible yan. And it is incumbent upon the senator judges to know such very basic rules. But I do not know. Yun nga sana yung nangyari doon sa kanya. That could have been subjected to mere stipulations eh. Stipulations na lang sana yun. Yung prosecution, dapat nag-propose ng stipulation na siya ang head ng, what you call this, ng NBI. Ito yung sasabihin niya, kasi wala naman siya personal knowledge. Nagsayang lang tayo ng panahon. Puro lang pala chismis yung, what you call this, yung kanyang tinestify doon. And based on his belated headship of the NBI, which really do not have any probative value. Ang importante nga sana nun is sino yung mga tao na nandun, no, during the actual interview of what you call this, of Vice President Sara Duterte. Hindi ito lumalabas eh. Kasi yung mga tao na present talaga at that time when Vice President Sara Duterte was present, when she allegedly declared the threats, yun sana ang mga tao na may personal knowledge. Kasi sila yung maka-authenticate nung mga tape. Eh, pati nga yung first witness eh, sino yung agent. Hindi rin yun siya, sa aking palagay, competent witness eh. Because what he testified to was the tape that can be seen on TV already. So anybody can be just like him, no? There was no testimony as to the origin of the tape. Kasi yung origin of the tape, yung raw file, should have been the one that should have been presented. Yun ang importante kung sa korte ito. Kasi kung doon ka na sa available, publicly available tapes, then you can, any Tom, Dick, or Harry can be made as a witness, which is not correct to my humble mind. Because what you are seeing are the tapes that can be seen by anyone. You are not actually testifying as to what transpired during the actual interview. Yun ang pinaka-importante sana.
Opo.
Pero, ewan ko, politika kasi ang nangyayari dito. Bakit natin inaalaw ito?
Opo. Attorney, sa kasaysayan po, sa experience nyo po, sa dinami-dami ng mga iniimbestigahan ng taga-NBI at maaring maraming beses na rin silang humarap sa korte, is this the first time na mismong pinuno ng NBI ang may tuturing din ba na common crime sila yung grave threat na mismo yung ganyang taas na klase ng pinuno ng NBI yung haharap talaga? Parang unusual ba ito?
unusual talaga ito kasi grave threats, yung mga pinuno ng mga NBI siguro mga multiple murder, mga kidnapping with homicide, yun mga ano yun, mga ano yun, grave offenses na yun. Itong alleged grave threat na it is not even a crime. Ang tawag ko nga dito, much ado about nothing. Kasi ang sinabi daw allegedly ni VP Sara dito, if I am killed, o di ba? O, meron ngang kondisyon, if I am killed, doon pa lang effective yung kanyang alleged threat. Meron bang crime doon? At saka kung may crime man nun, dapat nag-file muna sila ng kaso sa korte. And there should have been a finding of a probable cause, no? So that at the very least, merong prima facie case as to the grave threat so that at least may basihanan yung kanilang charge of betrayal of public trust because there is already a preliminary finding on the part of the prosecutor's office that as a matter of fact, no, merong na-commit daw allegedly na grave threat at saka merong DOJ finding na gano'n. Dito wala nga eh. Niwala nga ang kasong pinail doon sa DOJ tapos gawain nating basis for an impeachment complaint against a high public official voted by 32 million people.
Opo, opo. Actually, attorney, mga mahigit isang taon na nakatenga sa DOJ. Mismo yung kanilang mother na agency, parang hindi rin makadecide kung meron bang probable cause.
Wala talagang probable cause. Tapos, to think grave threats tapos pinaka-head ng NBI ang mag-investigate, kalukuhan talaga sa parang imposible ito na nakakaapekto ata sa integridad
Opo.
ng NBI. Noon, pag meron tayong mga krimen, dapat magpa-imbestiga tayo sa NBI. NBI tayo, NBI. Kasi we trusted NBI. Ngayon, parang ang tao, natatakot na pag NBI kasi baka maging politika. Yun
Opo.
ang perception po ng taong bayan ngayon sa
Attorney,
tingin ko.
nabanggit mo kanina yung video, yung bahagi ng video na pinag-uusapan niya dito sa impeachment trial kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Napanood mo rin ba yung audio video na kumalat online na inamin naman ni Attorney Melvin Matibag, yung meron siyang kausap at maraming mga maaanghang na klase ng salita na nabanggit, no? At kung ikukumpara mo yung pagbitaw ng mga salita, sa tingin mo kung ikaw ang patitimbangin, alin doon yata yung parang may grave threat na malinaw?
Mas grabe yung sa kanya kasi direct eh. Tinawagan niya yung tao mismo. At saka ang narinig ko, ewan ko lang kung yun ba yun. Kaya papatayin kita at walang ebidensya. Parang ganun ata yun eh. Yun ang grave threat kasi direct to the person. Oo, direct to the person. Tapos na record pa. Yun ang grave threat talaga. Ito allegedly kay VP Sara na hindi pa nga properly na authenticate nga yung video, wala nga doon eh. Wala nga yung tao na hindi nga nag-complain yung yung allegedly persona na threaten ni VP Sara kasi maski sila, mga abogado nila, alam nila na kung i-file nila yon formally, hindi papasa yun ng probable cause sa prosecutor's level. Walang reasonable certainty of conviction yon. Yan yung bagong test ngayon ng DOJ. Alam nila na it will not stand, no? It will not even pass through the new rigorous test of the DOJ before they will file an information in court. Kaya hindi nag-file. Ginawa pa nga yung first charge number 4 na ginawang first matter na on trial sa impeachment case against VP Sara. So this speaks a lot na mahina talaga itong impeachment case against VP Sara.
Opo, pero ang dating ng kanyang pagrarasyon naman at umamin naman siya na dahil sa emotional outburst kaya nabanggit niya yun. Parang ang dating doon yung kay VP hindi katanggap-tanggap para sa kanya pero yung kanyang ginawa katanggap-tanggap.
Double standard. Double standard siya. Yung kasing mga ganun na mga bagay, you have to put it into context, no? the contextual background by which an incident transpired. If you are the investigator, you have to know why the person did it. Because why is it important? That is important because there may be justifying circumstances, there may be exempting circumstances, there may be absolutory causes which can actually affect the classification of a crime. Yun. Like for example, pagkakita ka ng tao na nagsasabi, papatayin kita. Tapos yung portion lang na sinabi niya na napapatayin kita yung sabi mo, hindi mo kinuha yung full context pala na yung tao pala na nagsabi na papatayin kita, ano na pala, hinagbas na, ano ba yan sa Tagalog?
Tinaga.
Tinaga na pala previous to his declaration na papatayin kita. So, kung tinaga na siya una, pag sabi niya na papatayin kita, it was really an act of self-defense. So that is why it is very important to put everything in context. Kaya nga sabi niya, si Director Matibag, it was just an outburst of emotion. So yun yung he was applying the contextual requirement. Oo. So, outburst of emotion niya. Pero yung sinabi niya doon, grabe, diretso sa tao. And yung threat was really grave, no? Kasi it involves a threat against the life of the object of his hatred and his what to call this intended crime. So, yun ang sinasabi ko, that the contextual background should have been included in the appreciation of an alleged crime.
Opo, meron pang issue doon sa paano naging grave threat, paano nakaramdam ng pagbabanta ang subject ng sinasabing grave threat. Kung noong 2025 Mayo ata yon, meron siyang podcast attorney, in-interview siya, tinanong siya na willing ba siyang makipag-reconcile sa mga Duterte o bukas ba siyang makipag-reconcile. At sabi niya mismo na bukas siya na makipag-reconcile. Nagtutugma ba yun, attorney? I'm talking about PBBM sa kanyang podcast nung natanong siya, attorney, na willing ka ba or bukas ka ba na makipag-reconcile. Parang ito'y nangyari na podcast after na nung mga press con na naganap po. Kaya nga natanong yun kasi tumitindi na yung tension o hidwaan ng dating magka-uniteam.
Kaya nga importante yung context na sinasabi ko sa iyo, Sir Mar. Kasi nga, in the appreciation of determination of probable cause, prosecutors likewise should also consider the previous, simultaneous, and subsequent circumstances. Not only insofar as the alleged criminal is concerned, but likewise insofar as the object of the threat. No? What do I mean by that? You have to consider the contextual previous circumstance. You have to consider also the simultaneous circumstance, kung anong nangyayari at the time of the alleged incident, and the subsequent circumstance. Dito, sa object of the alleged threat, nagsabi pa siya ng podcast. So meaning, he was not threatened. He was not threatened, and that should have been considered also by those who assessed the alleged crime and considered it as a betrayal of public trust, and made it into an impeachment complaint. Kasi kung dapat kinonsidera nila na yung object pala nung threat hindi naman pala threatened. Open pa nga with into negotiation with the Duterte family. So why would you consider that as a betrayal of public trust when the object of the grave threat was even willing to talk to the Dutertes? And that should have been an important consideration in the determination as to whether or not it was a grave threat, or more importantly, as to whether or not it was an act that constituted betrayal of public trust.
Dito naman tayo sa sinasabing pattern of evidence at pattern of yung kanyang yung sinasabi violence pala, no? Pattern of violence. At kanya pong inhalimbawa doon yung isang dekada at kalahati na nangyari diyan po sa Davao City na sinuntok na sheriff. Maituturing ba na magagamit ba na pattern na talaga yun? O baka isolated case lang po yun? Kasi parang after nun, meron na bang nasundan na ba? Kahit nga yung kahit nga yun, questionable din yun kung kasi yung konteksto parang mali ata yung pagkakaintindi or hindi inintindi yung konteksto, tapos idinugtong nila doon sa mga presko na ng pangalawang pangulo na kung i-backtrack mo bago yung mismo yung kanyang pahayag, andun yung dahilan kung bakit nabanggit niya yun. Like kagaya doon sa pupugutan ng ulo, may konteksto pala yun na parang nainis siya na yung paghingi ng PMA graduate, no? Attorney, anong masasabi mo dito sa pattern of violence na sinasabi ng kanilang investigasyon?
Well, in the first place, sa aking tingin, defective yung pattern because the pattern itself happened, yung allegation niya na act which would constitute as a pattern occurred a long time ago. There was an interval kasi parang 2013 yun eh. At that time, governor ako ng IBP Eastern Mindanao. Alam na alam ko yun kasi taga Davao naman ako. At saka, yung sheriff noon, at one time, yung subject nung inimplementa ng sheriff, yung property doon, parang I was even a lawyer at one time nung one of the parties doon eh. Pero hindi ako nagpatuloy kasi parang nag-withdraw ako or something happened. Alam ko yung kaso na yun. Oo. And the context there was, I know for a fact na parang may sakuna na nangyari and that should have been considered also as to why that happened. Kasi parang may namatay nung panahon na yun and VP Sara, at that time Mayor Sara, was there to respond. And she requested the sheriff, i-hold mo lang muna kaya para pag-usapan natin. Yun ang maalala ko eh. Alam na alam ko yun kasi naging laman yun sa mga news items noon sa Davao City. So that matter should have also been considered. Again, the contextual background. So, kaya sinasabi ko maling-mali because yung pattern of behavior niya, ang interval masyadong malayo. Okay? And secondly, yung context naman nun ay ibang-iba. And that should be considered also in the consideration before one should conclude that such would constitute as a pattern of behavior.
Opo. Dito naman po sa banggit na national security or national security threat or napag-usapan yung national security kaugnay nga dito sa banta ng Pangulo. Nakikita mo bang parang hinaype lang itong issue kay VP Sara against kay PBBM para mapasok talaga doon sa national security or magiging bago pa ba ito kaugnay sa banta ng Pangulo? Natanong nga ito ni presiding officer Chis Escudero na hindi ba bilang presidente, tanggap mo na meron talagang banta sa buhay mo? Kasi magiging kalaban mo dyan, sindikato, mga durugista, mga drug lord, mga kriminal, kumbaga, na yun yung ipapahinto mo talaga. So may banta ka mula sa kanila. Kaya ka nga, ansandamakmak yung mga gwardya mo. No? Kumbaga parang hinaype lang ba nila ito para ma-justify na nandoon yung betrayal of public trust, mapalaki yung issue na national security na to the point na parang normal lang naman yung mga banta-banta na yan. Kasi parang nabanggit na nagkaroon ng task force intended dito. Hindi po ba ang security ng Pangulo, kumbaga parang meron talaga yung sariling intel lahat at hindi na needed yung maggumawa pa ng special task force ang NBI para rito, attorney?
I agree completely. Because ang tawag ko nga dito, much ado about nothing, no? Making a mountain out of a molehill. Hinaype up lang ito just to build a case out of nowhere. when you run for president, may kasabihan nga, kasama na dyan yung mga threat na real or imaginary. Ito, imaginary nga ito na threat na ginawang na extremely exaggerated na maski nga yung object ng threat, si Presidente mismo, hindi nga nag-file ng kaso. Kung legitimate talaga na threat ito, di nag-file sana sila ng kaso talaga na grave threat. So, ang tingin ko talaga dito is, hinipe up ito para to build a case against the Vice President and so that there can be a case against her and ma-divert yung attention doon sa supposedly flood control issue and grave corruption that is happening in our government today. Kasi instead na pagtuunan ng pansin ng Kongreso at saka ng Senado para magkaroon ng totohanang investigasyon doon sa flood control, saan napunta ang mga bilyones, trilyones na pera natin, sinong nagkapera doon, dinivert itong issue na ito at itinututok doon kay Vice Presidente para magkaroon tayo ng circus at mawala na yung atensyon natin doon sa supposedly na dapat imbestigahin na yung grabing korupsyon na nangyayari sa ating bansa ngayon.
Apo,
Yun po ang pananaw ko doon.
Attorney, dito naman po sa usaping confidential. Kasi, di ba, talagang sinala ng husto ang NBI director hanggang sa umabot siya ng punto na meron siyang mga impormasyon na hindi niya pwede na mabanggit dahil for national security, confidential. Tapos napatanong ang depensa, so hindi kayo naniniwala sa konseptong hindi confidential ang katotohanan, no? So tumutukoy ito doon sa naging pahayag ni Jokno, doon nga sa hiling nila na yung dapat walang confidential pag pinag-uusapan yung katotohanan. Nakita mo ba na sa future lalo na pag-uusapan ito sa ibang articles of impeachment na magagamit nila ito at dito masusubukan niya yung pagiging double standard talaga ng kanilang pananaw?
Yes, I think this is proof no na political lang talaga ito lahat, no. Simply because of the fact na kung sa tingin nila ay makakasira sa kanila, yun iniiwasan nila. Pero kung sa tingin nila ay makakatulong doon sa pag-impeach kay VP Sara, ay pinapaboran nila. So, sa tingin ko dito, this is not really a legal exercise. This has become purely a political exercise with a semblance of legality just to give it a semblance also of respectability. Yun ang tingin ko po dyan, Sir Admar.
Opo.
Sana hindi sila ma-offend, but I really think that this is all political and just given a semblance of legality to give it an appearance of respectability.
Opo. Attorney, hindi po ba national security din? Kasi ang hihimayin po, marami kasing confidential na pinag-uusapan po natin, no? Yung sa AMLAC, yung mga financial records, pati yung sa confidential funds or also known as intelligence funds yata yan sa uniformed agency. Pero pag civilian like OVP o nung DepEd ay confidential funds. Hindi po ba mapag-uusapan din yung national security kung malalaman yung the way ikaw ay mag-handle ng mga subject ng confidential funds mo like ang ginagamit ng mga militar. Hindi mo ba ito banta sa ating national security kung mabubusisi ito ng husto, attorney?
Yes, yes. Ang sa akin dito, I would like to press more no on the double standard that they are applying. Kasi national security daw yung threat, no? Even if it is not a threat, I would like to emphasize the fact that there was no grave threat. No? There was no alleged crime that was committed by the Vice President when she uttered, granting that she did, but there is no admission on it. Yung threat against kay VP Sara, yun. 'Di ba? that should have been also subjected to a clear investigation by the NBI because she is the second highest officer of the country. Pero wala silang ginawa. And he even admitted na he did not create a task force for the investigation of the threat against the life of the Vice President. And going also to your question, na when it comes to the usage of confidential funds, indeed, that is also a matter of national security because that is a fund belonging to the government, and such funds should be used judiciously and especially if it pertains to national security matters, then that should be included in the term matters of national security.
Opo, huli na lamang po, pananaw niyo po, attorney, no? Ang alam natin, si Vice President Sara Duterte, number 1 lang sa mga survey kung mangyayari ang presidential election, 'di ba? Siya yung nangunguna. So, ibig sabihin hindi pa siya presidente. Pero bakit yung pagtrato sa kanya ng mga kritiko, tila presidente na? Like halimbawa, doon po sa pagpuna sa kanya na pagpunta doon sa ibang bansa na kesyo dapat ganito. Alam naman natin yung kapangyarihan ng VP na napaka-limitado at napaka-contain na nga, parang 5 lang ata yung mga main programs niya na umiiral. Pero parang ang trato sa kanya, presidente na kasi grabe maka-demand, meron pang magbabanggit na ang kanyang pagbiyahe sa abroad ay betrayal of public trust dahil hindi niya hinarap ang impeachment trial. Ano ito, attorney?
Well, in the first place, though, there is no legal requirement for her to be personally present in an impeachment trial. All legal experts would, concede to that. There is no such legal requirement for her to be there personally. She is there represented by her lawyers, and that is enough. No? There is no betrayal of public trust simply because she travels abroad. And as a matter of fact, you should commend her. Why? Because, she has clear mind. She is not affected by the issues against her. And that would prove that she is very capable of handling stress, which is a very good requirement before one can be considered as a legitimate, person to be considered to run for the presidency. So sa aking palagay, itong pagtrata sa kanya na para siyang presidente is indeed a compliment to the vice president, no? Kasi pag lumabas siya sa bansa, binibigyan ka agad ng meaning. Wala naman talaga yung meaning na maka-affect sa kanyang trabaho kasi nga po, hindi naman po required sa isang respondent ng impeachment complaint na nandun talaga siya personally. Cite one law which requires her to be personally present during the impeachment trial. There is none. So if there is none, there is no requirement for her to be personally present in the Senate during the trial, and therefore, there is no commission of betrayal of public trust when she is not in the Senate during the hearing of the impeachment complaint against her.
Tsaka maliban dyan, yung trabaho po ng Vice President po, attorney, wala naman siyang hinahawakang opisina na sa executive talaga. Kasi, di ba, binibigyan lang naman siya ng kalayaan, ano ba ang gusto mong programa, proyekto. Yan nga yung dinidepensa niya. Mismo siya pa ang nagdedepensa niyan. O ganito, libreng sakay, yung magnegosyo taday. Hindi siya kagaya ng presidente na i-oversee mo talaga yung lahat ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno na sa ilalim sa iyo. Kahit yun pa lang, hindi pa nga kasama yung impeachment trial. Pero yun nga, ang pagtrato na sa kanya ay parang presidente na, attorney, na grabe na yung accountability na hinihingi sa kanya.
Yes, dapat maintindihan ng ng ating mga ka-Pilipino na the Vice President under the Constitution and under our laws, parang spare tire lang talaga siya sa presidente. Second in command siya, but her role really is to be the president in case wala na yung presidente. Wala naman siya, unlike before na binigyan siya ng cabinet role sa Department of Education. Oh, yun, parang secretary din siya of Education and at the same time, vice president. So, in effect, doon, yung time na yun na secretary of Education pa siya, yun, pwede mo yun siyang, what you call this? Pwede
Singilin.
mo yun siyang masabi na parang cabinet officer din siya. And wala na yun sa kanya eh. So, sa pagka ngayon, balik siya doon sa pagka purely spare tire ng presidente. So, you could not blame her if meron siyang, sa tingin niya, merong compelling reason for her to go abroad because she wants to also fulfill other responsibilities, no? Kasi yung responsibility niya, hindi lang amang dito sa ating bansa. O baka meron siyang kinakailahang puntahan sa ibang bansa din. Then, that is her option because yung trabaho niya as Vice President is limited to being a spare tire of the President. Whether we like it or not, ganun eh. Especially now na tinanggalan siya or nag-resign siya rather as Secretary of the Department of Education.
Attorney, daghang salamat sa imong oras ug higayon amping sa kanunay.
Daghang salamat, Sir Admar.
Si Attorney Israelito Torion, Dean po ng JMC College of Law, dyan po sa Davao City po mga kapartners, nagatid sa ating oras, 8 minuto bago